3, 2, 1, showtime!
CO, hi, and welcome to Double Feature Movie Club. I'm your host, Cade Thomas, and I am joined this week by Andrew and Diane. There you
Hello.
go. How are you doing?
How's it? All right.
Okay. How you doing, Diane?
Hola, Andrew.
Hola, Diane.
I'm great. I'm cold.
Why are you cold?
Why are you cold?
I'm cold, especially after
Oh, boy.
this last couple of days because it was so warm and now it's cold.
Well, daggum.
It changes. It changes here.
Yeah, Oklahoma does not have like a fixed temperature.
Yeah. Until it does, in the middle of the summer, when it'll be,
Yeah.
horrible. So these are totally fine for me as long as we can just keep pushing off the summer from coming, because it will get awful. It will get awful.
I agree. I'm not a fan of summer at all. It is my mortal enemy for as long as I live.
Yeah. And I like the rain as long as, it doesn't turn into, like real bad storm, like, awful storms that we get here sometimes, of course.
Yeah. We don't need tornadoes.
Yeah. As long as it's just rain, I don't have an issue with it.
Mm-hmm.
But,
Today was a good day to watch movies on the couch.
Yeah.
Actually, it was.
With the rain.
Exactly. This week we are watching What If from 2014. I guess you can maybe say 2013. I think is when it actually premiered, but then it, got wide released in 2014. I don't know what the rules are with that, because some things call it, depending on when it was premiered versus when it was released broadly. It's a confusing thing about what year to call some movies. Because oftentimes they're the same year, but sometimes you get weird things where like they premiere at a festival somewhere and then they don't get released widely until the next year. But anyways, that's not important. It stars Daniel Radcliffe and Zoe Kazan. I don't know how we landed on pronouncing that, but
I'm gonna say Kazan.
Kazan. Okay.
Yeah.
I like Kazan.
Kazan. Okay, we'll land with Kazan.
It flows better.
Okay. And then the other one we watched was Free Fire from 2016. It's got quite a few people in it. Brie Larson, Armie Hammer, Cillian Murphy, Killian. I think it's Killian Murphy, but yeah.
It's Cillian Murphy.
Yeah. I heard that as soon as I said it. Anyways, we'll talk about that in a moment. Right now, we're just going to talk about how our weekend was. How was your weekend, Diane? Any dog park stories?
I had a really good weekend. I got to spend some quality time with friends, with good food and drink, and what more can you ask for?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah. I guess we'll clue people in. Us and a few of our trivia teammates and stuff had a little party at Diane's house on Friday night. It was fun.
It was fun.
Yeah. Did you enjoy it?
I agree.
Little game night party.
Yes, it was a game night party.
Yeah.
It was really good. It was really needed because after last week,
It was a game night.
Last week was just so, I don't know. It was just so busy. These last couple of weeks have been really busy. So to have like a nice night with, people I enjoy being with, really just kind of mix it all up for it. So
yeah,
it was nice.
It was nice.
And also,
No stress.
I got goodies. So I also got food. So I am. What's bad about any of that? The answer is nothing.
I ate up the guacamole, and I'm still working on the salsa. It's a lot of
I'm
salsa.
still working.
That was a lot
I'm
of
still
fun.
working on the steak.
It's good. It was good. That was Gus, who's been
That
on the
was so
podcast
good.
before. He made us
Yeah.
some steak for some tacos, and it was great.
Yes, I had it for breakfast this morning, and man, oh man, was it good.
How'd you do that? Did you make it with eggs?
Yeah, I just scrambled like 2 eggs, and then I cooked the steak first. I just warmed it up in the pan, and then threw everything together at the last minute, and I mixed it with some avocado, and I put it on a tortilla, and I ate it.
It's great.
And I was a happy Andrew.
I bet. I had leftover chocolate decadent indulgence. What is this stuff?
I should have taken some of that. I don't know why I didn't take any of that.
I should have taken some of
wish
that.
you had it.
Listen, if I had, if I really wanted to, I should have just scooped it with my hand and put it in my pocket.
That's why I had all those plastic dishes lined up for you guys. I was surprised that I still had some in the refrigerator.
No.
Kind of like crack, you know.
Yeah. Kind of like what?
Now, the one thing that I did hear, I think I overheard at the party, was that you guys have seen Everything, Everywhere, All at Once at the movies.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Both of you have?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
So tell us about it.
It is a great film.
It's really great.
It is. I would venture to say that it's probably the best movie of 2022 so far.
I said last week on the podcast that I think it's my favorite movie of the 2020s in general. You know, I think it's just,
that's fair.
Spectacular. Well, it's definitely like I said to Andrew there is like it's definitely like the most movie. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot of things, and it's a lot of genres. It's all the genres.
It's not all the things. It's everything.
Yeah. So it's got
a comedy, a horror.
Yeah.
It kind of mixes it all.
All of the above.
It really
it's a thriller.
Does.
It's a it's a drama. It's a comedy. It's a it's everything. It's everything everywhere all at once. No, it's at the heart of it. It's like I guess like a family drama. I would say is what at the core of it is what it is.
Yeah.
But and then it's like character study of the main characters that are in it. But on top of that, it's because it's a multiverse movie, which we have become more than acquainted with in our modern society. And so it has a lot of different things, and each one's some sort of different sort of genre, I would say, and then storyline, and but it's very powerful, and it's very every layer it has, it works on. I love just seeing performances. That's really what I go for films most of the time for, and that's just anchored by one of the greatest performances I've seen on film in a very, very long time. Michelle Yeoh is just phenomenal in this movie.
I will say that Michelle Yeoh is so underrated.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's actually such a great actress, and she's one of the few, like, what I mean, if you like James Bond, she's a Bond girl. I mean, and she's one of the few examples of how Bond girls can actually make it now, because like she's kind of on her own. And the one movie I really love from her is Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. And this is like right up next to it. Actually, I think it surpasses it. But I loved how Everything Everywhere All at Once just kept you like it kept you on your toes. You really didn't know what was going to happen next.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that was. I think the thing that stood out a lot was the fact that you didn't know quite where it was going, and you didn't know what. It sets up all these threads, and you're like, well, what's going to end up paid off? And it's like everything's going to come back and get paid off in some sort of way. So everything that's set up serves a later purpose, and it's goes off the rails, but still like keeps its like it. I think it lands in a spot that is perfect, and it eventually kind of it's a success story in the directing of being able to pull all of these strings, more strings than I've ever seen in any movie, and try to like pull it into a thing that ties into a thematic statement. And I think for the most part, it works extraordinarily. And it's some of the funniest stuff too I've seen in a while is in this movie. Mm-hmm. Like there is so many, and I don't want to even ruin any sort of jokes in it. It is just, there's so many things. And I think at first people are like, we're kind of, the audience I saw it and didn't know like, oh, do we is there because it's not set up. There's a lot of comedy stuff, but then like it goes crazy and it does different things, and like it's a fun experience with an audience too. Just sort of them seeing this movie that just goes to just these extremes that is insane, and just witnessing that with an audience is extraordinary. And I would recommend anyone. I want to see it again too.
Is she the lead in it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Michelle?
Yeah.
I loved her in Star Trek Discovery.
Mm-hmm.
I really did. Her character was great in Star Trek Discovery. She was also in Crazy Rich Asian. She played the mother-in-law to be.
Yeah.
She just when she's on screen, you can't help but watch her. She's second.
Right.
Yeah. No, she's spectacular in this movie. It's was it James Hong, that character actor who plays her father? Oh my god! And he's been in like hundreds of movies, and I'm so glad that he has gotten this role near probably the end of his career, and it's just amazing.
Yeah. I will say that like when I saw James Hong, I'm like, number one, I was really surprised. Number two, I was kind of happy because like he's just one of those guys that's been in pretty much every movie that's like
every sitcom, classic. Like he just appears in just something. You'll know him, like he's just in everything, and to see him appear in this, and like it's a great role, and I love that he's getting like because he's typically a bit role in things, and to see him get like this fully fleshed out character, and it's I'm like I was so and just the casting in general was pretty great. Because then you have her husband is Short Round. He's also the kid from Goonies, but like he hasn't acted in decades. This was the movie that brought him out of acting and brought him back to acting, and it was like he took it very, very seriously, and he's great in this, and he's playing different types and everything, and he's nailing it as well. Like it's. I don't know. It was a great movie, and I can't recommend it enough. And I hope everyone goes out and sees that movie. It's truly great. And I know a lot of people are seeing it. It's like particularly film fans. It's been a thing that people have really latched onto and have said that's. I mean, and it's received almost universal love, and it's great to see that sort of movie.
Mean, with good cause. I mean, it's just there's really nothing to it. It's one reason why I love going to the movies is when you get original films. And do I enjoy like summer blockbusters? Of course I do. But like when you get a movie that is not of your particular taste, and it just comes right at you, and it just hits you. And I think that's just one reason why I love movies, is because of movies like Everything Everywhere All at Once. And now it's like we have this thing to play around with, which is the metaverse.
Yeah.
So, or not the metaverse, but multiple universes.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, so I mean, it's extraordinary in a lot of respects. I've watched a lot of things later about like there was like a group of 6 people that made all the effects in this movie, and this it's crazy. And this movie looks better than any Marvel movie has ever looked, visual effects wise. It is the greatest visual effects I've seen in a movie probably ever. It is that extraordinary, and it's made with 6 people on Adobe After Effects, and it's insane.
That's
how cool. Well, you guys have sold me. Crazy. I'm going to go see it.
You got some time left, but go see it as soon as you can.
And it needs to be seen in theaters. I mean, you can, I think, rewatch it later, but I think that it's a movie that certainly helps from being seen in theaters. Okay, we're going to jump in here. We'll go to our first feature. We're going to talk about What If, rom-com, as the kids say. Before we jump in real quick, what do you guys, what's your favorite rom-com of all time?
Love Actually.
Oh, I think
that
Diane...
would have to be, I was going to say Love Actually.
Yeah. No, I love Love Actually.
I love Actually.
I mean, Love Actually is Love Actually, but like a close second, I would say is probably either The Proposal. I do like The Proposal a lot, and As Good as It Gets.
It's good. Yeah.
So.
I like The Proposal. The one that has Jack Black.
Oh, The Holiday.
The Holiday.
The Holiday. Love that.
That's my mom's favorite movie. So I've seen
Is it
that.
really?
Yeah.
That's a good one. Mainly because of Jack Black. It's so not what you would expect from him.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Romantically, Jack Black, no, that can't.
Mm-hmm. It's certainly that half of the story's the best half. The Kate Winslet with the director or whatever
It's at least it's not as traditional as the other.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I really like that one a lot. I've said before.
While You Were Sleeping was a good one.
My favorite, which isn't really like, I wouldn't say that the rom-com is what I love, but it's certainly good. And I've talked about this with Diane before. I love music and lyrics. Hugh Grant, Drew Barrymore, great comedy film as well, and it has a romantic part to it.
Never seen it.
It's really good.
Watched that the other day after we talked about it, Cade, and it is really good. I did not give it enough credit the first time I saw it.
It's insanely good. And it's so funny, and Hugh Grant is amazing in it, and I think an underrated actor in a lot of things. He's done a lot, even more in recent years. That's like, oh, okay, that's some interesting stuff he's doing. And he's obviously in Love Actually as well. Yeah.
Yes, he is.
Mm-hmm. Me and Diane talked about like The Gentleman. That's a good movie. It's not a rom-com; it's an action movie. But that just to see Hugh Grant's performance in it is well worth the.
First off, you have to be told he's actually in it, and then you have to watch it and go, "Oh my gosh, that's Hugh Grant!" No way, that's Hugh Grant.
He's got a whole thing on, and he does a whole voice. Like he's amazing in that.
You would never know it was him. Mm-hmm. I've seen that movie twice, and I would watch it again.
Mm-hmm. It's got some it's kind of clumsy at times. Like it's not like it's not the greatest, but but it is still pretty good. It's pretty good.
It's really And
Colin,
it's
Colin Farrell's in it. Matthew
Colin
McConaughey.
Farrell's in it.
Mm-hmm. It's got a few different people. Okay, we'll jump in now.
It's a really good. Okay.
Great.
We're going to move on.
We're
30 minutes in.
So let's start it. What If, and Diane will give a synopsis right after our little musical interlude, our feature presentation.
love that.
Okay, great. What If is a 2013 or 2014 rom-com with Daniel Radcliffe, who plays a medical school dropout who has experienced a series of spectacular relationship breakdowns and decides to give up on love until he meets the woman who might be the one, but has a boyfriend. So they have to settle for friendship. I kind of love this movie for that it was on the blacklist. The script was on the blacklist. That it was written by Elaine. Elaine, I think it's probably pronounced Elaine. Uh, Mastai, if I looked that up to see how you're supposed to say it. He's a producer from the TV series This Is Us. Anyway, he wrote the script for this movie and has
Oh.
so many wonderful lines in it. I can't even begin to go. It also includes Adam Driver, Mackenzie Davis from one of my favorite TV series, *Halt and Catch Fire*, who holds her own with Adam Driver in this one. Uh, was filmed in Toronto and takes place over the course of, I want to say, probably 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else you guys would like to add to just the description of the movie before I get into all the things I loved about it?
No, I
No?
think that's pretty much it. I did want to so Mackenzie Davis is the girl from *Halt and Catch Fire* for you.
Yes.
What's Mackenzie Davis for you, Andrew? Who's Mackenzie Davis for you? Oh, you don't really.
I don't know.
Oh, you don't.
I don't really know. I
Okay.
don't really know Mackenzie Davis all that much.
Mackenzie Davis is the girl from San Junipero for me, from the Black Mirror episode.
Okay.
San Junipero. That's who Mackenzie Davis is for me. She's also, she's in Blade Runner, the Blade Runner movie.
Oh, the new one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But she's San Junipero, 100%.
Yeah.
But,
and
okay.
I could see how she went from this movie to *Halt and Catch Fire*, opposite Lee Pace, and I could see how she got cast in that role because she held her own with Adam Driver in this one. Which the thing that I think I loved the most about this movie was the chemistry between the characters in the movie, not just between Radcliffe and Zoe Kazan, but between Daniel Radcliffe and Adam Driver and Mackenzie Davis and Daniel. All of the characters in this movie, their chemistry was so good. And I did read where Daniel Radcliffe said in an interview that he and Zoe Kazan did a lot of improv, a lot of their interaction with each other that
Makes
filmed the
sense.
movie was improvised. You could kind of tell, I think. Anyway, Zoe Kazan is she's a writer herself, and she's married to Paul Dano, who I don't know if you guys saw the movie with Daniel Radcliffe and Paul Dano.
Well, that's the Daniels. That was that was their first movie before making Everything All at Once or whatever it's called. That was their first movie, Swiss Army Man, and this is their second. So that's a nice tie-in as well to what we was talking about before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this
they made another movie together, Paul Dano and Zoe Kazan, which is on our list for possible things to watch, which is Ruby Sparks.
Okay.
They made that movie together.
I bet it'd be good.
So at some point we'll get to that. Maybe next week when we see what the random number is. My first thing I wrote down for just
Anyway, there's some really good lines in this movie too.
There is. But yeah, I wrote
that I learned something. You can eat your poop once, but not twice.
Yeah, Adam Driver had a lot of really great lines.
Yes.
He did.
He really did. He really did.
You could tell he was having a lot of fun with this character.
I had a line that he wrote. He said, "I just had sex and I'm about to eat nachos. It's the greatest moment of my life."
That was a great scene. I wonder if that was scripted or if that was improvised.
I'm gonna say not.
I'm gonna say it was improvised. I mean, I think it was probably that he. I mean that, and then he had like the set thing was supposed to have. He's had nachos, and he just sort of improvised that. I think was the sort of. I think his set business was what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to eat nachos, and he just improvised that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wrote down
the greatest day of his life.
The greatest day of his life. Yeah, I wrote down. The first off was how crazy the cast was. You know, now speaking, you know, they're all kind of star. I mean, Danny Radcliffe was already a star, but that like whenever you're the very first scene, you're introduced to these four characters, and it's like, oh wow, this is a pretty extraordinary cast. And the fact that like your kind of supporting cast has become almost more famous than your your leads.
Yeah, than your leads.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of interesting. But I did have one of the only real negatives I had was I don't know, that opening scene. It took me a little bit to get used to because I'm like, I couldn't tell if it was horribly mixed. The audio was horribly mixed, or the fact that, or was our two leads just mumbling all their lines. I could not, and I don't know if I got used to it or if that first scene was just so horribly mixed, but I'm like, what are they saying? Or am I, because then they're like, blah, 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 and I'm like, I couldn't tell if they were just mumbling or if it was just horribly mixed, and it could be a mixture of both of them. I don't know, but that was the one thing that I was just like, can't tell what they're even saying.
It was almost like a what is it, Sorkin script in the middle of a loud party.
Yeah.
Right.
And you can't follow what they're saying at all.
Yeah. And that's your opening scene, and it's like kind of like, oh, okay. But it from that point on, it wasn't an issue. But then again, they weren't in the middle of a party as well, you know.
Sure.
And I mean, like later on when they go to a party, there's also a part where they're kind of. So I mean, I guess maybe that's part of it is they're trying to make it seem somewhat realistic because it is kind of hard to, you know, hear people in these things. It's kind of like, you're right, like that. I often think about that scene in Social Network where Justin Timberlake and Mark Zuckerberg, Jesse Eisenberg, they're in that club, and it's intentional. I mean, it's the David Fincher. It's an intentional scene, but my God, why did he have to do it that way? Where it's just blaring music, and it's like, I get it, I get what you're doing, but like, but why?
That could have been done at a restaurant.
Yeah.
It could have been done on a beach.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And you know, like they record all those scenes, like these club scenes are recorded like notoriously in Hollywood completely silently. Like they do it. It's just flashing lights, but there's no music, so everyone's like dancing to nothing because they don't know what rights to what song they're getting just yet, and they can't have anyone talking to ruin the lines of the actors. So that's all post. It's all post that they added it to make it loud and all that. Anyways, this is not a Social Network thing. I did have one question for you guys. Does Fool's Gold sound good to you, or does it sound like the most awful thing ever?
What do you mean?
The sandwich.
The description of it is better than the way it looked.
Yeah.
I mean, who hasn't put jelly and bacon on a sandwich together?
Yeah.
Listen.
Sure.
I'm not afraid to try new things, but I would not try that new thing. That looks like a cholesterol explosion.
So, okay, like each individual thing by themselves, not bad. It's the combination of it, like So to fill people in who didn't watch the movie, there is a reoccurring thing in this movie that I guess, you know, Elvis what's the other thing he was a fried peanut butter or fried banana peanut butter banana sandwich or whatever that he would eat. But this was this other thing supposedly that he ate called Fool's Gold. That was this French big loaf of bread or whatever. They would put butter all over it, put it in the oven. I mean, after it was already made, and then they would hollow it out. So they take out all the bread, and then they would lather one side with peanut butter, lather one side with jelly, and then they put bacon in the middle, and then that was what they called Fool's Gold. And
it was the quantity. It was like a whole jar of jam or jelly,
yes,
and a whole jar of peanut butter, and 2 pounds of bacon. I think that it was the quantity that made it really even gross.
Oh, oh my God.
Yeah, and
Oh, man.
it was so. I mean, my biggest issue, I guess, would be the bacon of it all. That's my first one. Bacon by itself is all fine, but bacon mixed with all that does not sound great. Mixed with peanut butter and jelly. And especially how they did it, they made it look like it was... I'm very particular about my bacon. It needs to be incredibly crispy, where it's completely like... I don't want any of like the uncooked fat. Like that disturbs me. And they showed it where it was like, I didn't feel like it was completely done all the way. And so that's what made me a little bit, no.
I am the same way about bacon. It has to be crispy. That way I know it's cooked.
Yes.
Like if it's like a little bit floppy, I'm okay with it. But when it's just like completely like soggy looking, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Like put it back on the fryer.
Mm-hmm. And so that's what got me off the wagon.
Yeah,
it was that.
Between the full scope and those nachos, you did not come away from that movie hungry.
No.
It pretty well killed your appetite.
So, and then the other thing about that sandwich is the fact that like you get rid of all the bread, so it's just like a real crunchy, like that's the part
you have to hollow it out, yeah.
So like that you hollow it out, so you get rid of all of the fluff of the bread, and so it's just a hard exterior, and that doesn't seem like that would be too pleasant of a, because you've buttered it and everything. It doesn't seem like that'd be too pleasant of a experience.
No,
it would be hard to eat too, right?
Well, it makes me think of like a sandwich from like a sandwich done from Subway that is overdone in that giant microwave they have.
Mm-hmm.
And like I'm trying to picture it. It was like this big.
Yeah.
It was like that wide.
And
how
like, so
can one person eat that sandwich?
So to my understanding, this does not need to be the majority of our conversation, but it already has been. So to my
too late. I want to talk about bacon.
So the idea was that they say that they were supposed to be split between, ideally this would be split between 5 or 6 people or whatever, but Elvis would eat this by himself. Okay, Elvis eats it by himself. I can sort of see eating that whole thing by yourself in the sense of like from a perspective of like how to eat it, in the sense of like, because if you split it between 5 people, you couldn't cut the thing, or all the insides would just go everywhere. So how would you split it between 5 or 6 people? One person, you just eat it, I guess, all like that, and it would all stay in the center part. You know, I can see the logistics of how to get that done. But 5 or 6 people, you'd have to cut the thing, and it would all go everywhere, right?
I guess. I mean, like, maybe they would use like, I don't know, what are those turkey cutters? You know,
Yeah, but like, so you have a middle section, and it's like it's
like an electric knife.
Thank you. I couldn't think of that. Thank you, Diane.
So you have a middle section, and it's just loose jelly and peanut butter, and then like the bacon's all flopped because it's all like you've cut sections of it, and so like it's not going to hold together right.
No.
And also, just who would make that for 5 to 6 people? Because this thing wouldn't last. You would have to eat it immediately because it couldn't be the next day, or be just, oh my God, it'd be disgusting. So you would have to make it for, here's our dinner, guys. I guess a family would be the situation you would make this for. Because it wouldn't be for a party, or you'd be the worst.
Oh, we're having it at our next party. We just spent 15 minutes talking about it, and we really will have it at our next party because
I know who would eat that sandwich. A king.
You're all going to eat it.
The king of
You're
rock
all
and roll.
going to eat it.
I'm not participating. I mean, like, I can see it being fine if the bacon was completely crispy. And then like the bread situation, like I don't know why, it's just crust at that point that you're eating it with, and so it's like putting the emphasis quite heavily on the peanut butter and jelly and bacon, and it's like, I don't know, whenever I eat peanut butter and jelly, it's like you can overdo the peanut butter, you can overdo the jelly. I think a real simple layer of peanut butter and jelly. I think, and so like that's where I think this also fails, is that it's so heavily with the filling. And any sandwich that's heavy with the filling It's like, eh.
Well, you
I
got 2 pounds of bacon in there. You got to offset it.
Yeah,
It's
you're
actually
right.
the same thickness of each layer at that point.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
I don't have a
But
problem with the bacon.
getting back to the movie just for a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
Were you not like impressed that the guy fell out of a third-story window and only broke his arm?
Yeah, that was so funny.
That was some great comedic timing in there too. The way
Yes.
that they set it up, and he got thrown out the window, and then the phone goes flying out the window when they try to call 911. It was
Yeah.
pretty.
Good.
And it never goes to that slapstick level ever again.
No.
Like that's
No.
the and like
But,
that's the only
that
thing
was
kind
pretty spectacular.
yeah.
It would have been hard to top that.
Yeah.
That was just so funny.
I'm a weird stickler for comedy though in films of like you have to be somewhat uniform throughout it in the style of comedy that you do. You can't do different styles. And so if you're going to do one sequence where you go full slapstick, you got to have at least another sequence on the back end to balance it out that is going full slapstick. And I know that
That was that fool's gold.
Yeah,
When they actually served it and cut it. Yeah.
but it's not like if there would have to be some sort of physical, like that was pure physical comedy and pure like heightened, like, almost to the point of being a dark comedy, I feel like at times, because of like it's at the expense of some character that you're laughing. And so there had to be.
Actually, I thought they offset that really well whenever Daniel Radcliffe goes to Ireland and meets up with the boyfriend. Because
no.
do you recall that punch and he rolled down the stairs? Yeah. I think that those were the two bookends of that. And it
guess
was
you could say
only
that.
their relationship that went there.
Yeah. I think he could have thrown him out the window and that would have been okay. Thrown him out of the 3-story window. Invited him
Well,
in.
he did.
Invited him in. Oh yeah, she's up here, and then he's like, he's not there. She's not here, and then pushed him out the window, and then I would have been like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
threw
Well,
some
he did roll down a
some
pretty
peppers in his eyes, and then push him out of
pretty
a window.
long series of concrete steps.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
That was a good one.
I did also put that this makes Toronto look prettier than Enemy did.
Yes, it did. It really did.
I have never seen Enemy. So
Yeah, that was one of our movies a
yeah,
few
you
weeks
don't.
ago, and it is it is probably I'm sure Toronto's not happy with how they made it. The city looked in that because it looks like a nightmare, and in this one it's like,
It
oh,
does
it's a
look
quirky
like a
little town, and it's all bright and light, and then the other one it was like this neon hazy hellscape. It's
Yeah,
yellow
that
haze.
is true.
Yeah.
So what did you think of the ending? They redid the ending after they did some focus groups.
Oh,
And they
okay.
reshot 18 months later a new ending.
So what point was that? Was that like the wedding thing, or was it just them getting together, like the whole him being on the train thing? Is that what they're?
I don't know what the original ending was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I
don't-
can see.
I don't know what the original ending was.
I think it wrapped it up probably a little too much. I think like it kind of like it went like not only were they together, but
Pretty
they also got married, and they also end up happily ever. And it's like you didn't have to
Yeah,
spell it
it
out
was-
all that much.
it was a very like
Yeah.
kind of a textbook ending, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Well, I wondered if
Go ahead.
the original ending was for that airport scene. Because of the way they talked to each other in that airport. That would have been a great ending
Yeah.
right there.
I think so too.
Right.
If that was the ending, then that
But
would have
then
been
they went
cute
on
and
and-
sweet. Yeah. I mean, they had set up, the only thing I'd like about the ending that they set up is they set up him on the roof thing. Like that was a good, like, cause that's kind of your opening. And so like paying that off in some sort of way where she's there, I'm like, yeah, I like that. But, but at the same time, like, yeah, the wedding stuff I think it was a bridge too far.
Yeah.
And
agree.
That
So
was
I guess if they felt like that, they needed to have them married off in order to prove their love was real.
yeah.
Mhm.
Okay,
And I
so
also would have
are we
been
ready to
okay
rate
with.
it?
I also would have been a
What
little
do
bit.
you rate this one, Andrew?
Okay, before we get to that, I would have
Okay.
preferred. This movie is kind of inventive. It's kind of interesting. Like over the even the wedding thing, I could have been okay with them not getting together in the end. Like I think
Yeah.
that it's so sort of like the ending is so the fool's gold scene is I think kind of probably the last great scene of the movie, and then after that it kind of just pitter patters and wraps it up and does that whole thing like that. That's your great thing. And if it could have ended where it almost ended up with even the name would sort of suggest that the themes of the
Right.
story was going to be we didn't end up together. There was an alternate timeline where this could have been the case or whatever, but our paths didn't end up crossing. And that maybe in another world or something, this could have
Oh,
worked
not the
out.
multiverse.
Not the multiverse. But that's what. Yeah. I mean, he talks like that's a whole conversation of
This
like
is
this.
before the multiverse.
Yeah. They talk about though in it about like if he had a time machine, would he go back and change this sort of thing? And he ultimately decides, no, I wouldn't change it. And like I think that was a powerful sort of statement about like that it was all these choices that like, and they kind of felt like they were on this path forward from their jobs, from where they're at in their lives, that they really couldn't get off of this track that they were on, and that ends up sort of being the thing that holds the back. And that maybe in another situation they could have been together, but it just didn't work out that way. And
Right.
they had that one night together at the end that where they sort of understood that, yeah, maybe they both had feelings for each other, but it just didn't work out because they both end up going separate ways. He ended up finishing med school. This helped him push him to that. So it helped him in that way, just like this helped her realize that other relationship wasn't working and that she ended up gaining the confidence to go further in her job. And they go completely two different directions in two different cities, and it's fine, like I think that's a much more thoughtful movie, and I would have liked it for it to go that way a
Spoiler
little bit
alert.
more. Spoiler alert. I don't know what you think, Andrew.
Well, so my thoughts about it are this. I think. Am I just talking about how I feel about the movie, or
I guess in general or whatever. Yeah.
Okay. So for starters, I think it's just when I look at this as a whole, yeah, like when it comes to romantic comedies, they're almost dime a dozen. And what I mean by that is this: they're almost all predictable.
Mm.
I mean, from like, and that's like from the 90s on, because 90s romantic comedies and 2000s romantic comedies were all pretty much the same. They all kind of had the same formula, the same genre, the same people.
Mm-hmm.
Romantic comedies now are a little bit different, but in essence, they're still kind of the same. And this to me was just kind of the same. Like, it was fun. It was funny. There were bits when I laughed at it quite a bit. Like, it was really hilarious. But the ending was just like, it was almost like spoon-fed to you.
Mm. It seemed like they were setting up something to this to be a little bit more, and I felt like at first it kind of had an odd structure in comparison to some other ones, and so I kind of was like I'm like, oh, are we going to do something different here? And like even whenever you finally eventually get to that last scene before like the ending thing, like you're getting the feeling that they're going to go and pivot and go a completely different direction than what they've done in past things, and then they end up not, and and it's kind of like, oh, and I don't know, because like you have to see what it's kind of undercutting a lot of different things. She's with the guy for most of this movie. Yeah. She's with her other guy, and he's not even like set up as being all that awful. in
No.
comparison to like these other romantic comedies are, where like they have to villainize both of the past exes or whatever, and they're neither one of them are quite villainized.
I think that's the problem. I think that's the problem I'm finding. Like, I think this is one of the reasons why I just don't really care for it. Is that like, it's like, I don't really like anyone in this movie.
I like them,
I mean, like, the only real person I like is probably Daniel Radcliffe's character. That's about it. I mean, like, I don't know. It's just like, I didn't get a whole lot out of it. I was just like, it was okay.
Yeah, I liked certain aspects of it, and I do kind of wish that it was I think both of my people have frozen up on me. Hi, Diane, are you there?
Nope.
There we
I'm
go.
here.
There we go. I think you both ended up freezing up on me.
Yeah, I froze. I'm sorry.
That's fine. I'll say what I think, but no, I thought it was yeah, I thought like it was setting up a lot of things to kind of do different things. Like it was much more career oriented than I think a lot of these other ones were. You know, it shows how important that is to this age group of people, where like, you know, you don't have time to, and if you want to succeed, you kind of comes at the expense of your love life. And like, I think that was actually a powerful sort of thing that this movie had, that going for it, that other people, and it's like where, you know, and how that affects your decision making at that age. Whereas it's kind of more flippant in other movies. It's kind of like, oh yeah, I'll be a doctor or whatever later, and it's like, and that's what was so sort of, I think, awful about the ending, is that it does end up just being like, yeah, then he somehow became a doctor even though he moved away or whatever, and like that was his big thing that was holding him back, is like he ends up deciding to go to med school again and finish that out, and then like it's like, oh yeah, and then that was the reason why he couldn't go with her. And then it was just like, oh yeah, he went and he ended up becoming a doctor. And it's like, no, you just undercut the whole point of the film.
Yeah.
Was that was the thing that was holding him back and everything. And so like, yeah, the ending, I do think, sort of ruined it a bit in a lot of ways.
It's very weak, because it's like,
Of course, you don't really know that he went with her that entire time. You just know that they were together at the end.
Yeah.
And they came back.
Well, so they were gone
she was gone for
18 months, right?
Yeah.
She was
18 months, yeah. So I think there's a couple of things you hit on, Cade, that were really important in that. In this age group, how career decisions can take you into a different direction, depending on where you are in your life. I think in the case of Zoe's character, obviously she was pretty content with living a life that had no change. She was with a boyfriend that she really didn't love, but he was like an old, I always think of it as your best pair of tennis shoes, or your old tennis shoes, how comfortable they are. The same thing with her job. She wasn't challenging herself, or moving forward. She was just kind of like stagnant in all of her relationships. And then,
and that's because of her parents. That was set up really good, is that we're products of our parents. Like, they're both dealing with like repeating the things of their parents. And even though they're not shown, which is not as probably good in the movie, but it is talked about. And that is hit over the head, is that they are the failures of their parents in a lot. of ways, or where they
don't want to recreate the failures of their parents. I think that's a real driver, especially for Daniel's character. But and I think that the fact that they met each other took them both out of that, I want to call it the sameness of life, where the fact that they met each other changed everything for both of them.
Yes.
That to me was the thing.
Yes.
Yeah. Not just, I met my soulmate. I met somebody who made me change how I looked at life.
Yes. And I think that would have been more powerful if they didn't
Anyway.
just end up together. Like, I think that would have been, and I get the feeling that that's where that film was heading, was like that, and that's probably what it was rewritten. I'm sure that did bug some people who are wanting a romantic comedy. That was like, no, I mean, I think that it was powerful that it would have been cool if they didn't, and they just helped. They were just two people end up helping each other in a very unique and interesting way. Like, they end up.
See, I don't think you help somebody in a life change, in the kind of life changing events that those people, that the two of them went through. It isn't a help. It is literally an earthquake because they completely changed course.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, she would have stayed in that apartment in that job as an illustrator the rest of her life,
Mm-hmm.
except for she met him, and that changed the course of her life. He didn't help her as much as the combination of the two coming together.
Right.
So, Andrew, you didn't care for it. I get that. Right?
Yeah. Nah. No,
Okay.
I didn't.
What are you going to rate this movie, Andrew?
This would be about 2.5 out of 5 stars.
Okay. 2.5 stars. So it's midway. You might cause some problems with your friends, because it's someone else in your other podcast. They really like this movie, don't they?
They might.
I think someone else was one of their picks for favorite.
Is it on the letterbox?
Probably.
Let's just take a look.
Diane, what are you going to give this?
I'm going to give this 3.5 glasses of wine. How's that?
I don't know if I can do halves.
I've already drank mine.
I don't think I could do halves for your emojis.
Well,
So
then give it a 4, just because I learned you could eat your poop once, but not twice.
Great. 4. So you really liked it.
Yeah. I enjoyed the I enjoyed the flow of it. It didn't get bogged down or boring at any point. Mackenzie Davis gave me that comic relief that you really need to have, but you don't want your lead characters to be that comic relief so much. So, and they had some great lines in that. And I really enjoyed the chemistry of everybody. Even her and her sister were very believable as sisters. The ending of it, yeah, I probably with you guys on that. I didn't really care for how they wrapped it all up in a little bow, because what was it that I think Mackenzie Davis said? Love is a dirty baby, and sometimes it's downright filthy. Well, when you wrapped it all up in a bow, you kind of went against that whole.
Yes, and I think that it worked against itself, because it became the thing that it was trying to like not be. It was trying
Right.
He goes to, like, just if you think of the small things that it's like trying to go against, of like he goes to Ireland to do the big scene that's in all these movies where he goes and professes his love and stops the thing from happening, and it fails spectacularly. And it like, and not even like, cause like he misses her cause she's flying back. And so like that's not at all how that scene's supposed to play out, as we know in all these, rom-coms and everything. And then, cause he's the one who gets punched. Oftentimes it's like, oh, you're bad. And the other person gets punched, the bad boyfriend or whatever, but he gets punched, and then he has to go back and fly. And then like that whole conversation, like instead of being this spectacular professing of love, when he professes the love, it's not, she hates the way that he goes about that. Like, and like that is another way of undercurrent.
Sometimes love is really dirty.
Yes.
So I've taken, that's why it was 3.5, because I took a half off for the ending. But it's not a bad ending. It's predictable.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 I think it's a fair assumption. I think it's very fair. Because it was just, that's what I got out of it. It was just, just so bland. It's very just I referred to this earlier in my previous statement, which is it's spoon fed to you.
Oh,
And
it seems kind of like, here's your ending. Here's your where this is what you came for. We got to have fun while it lasted with our themes and stuff, but whatever, that we're being forced to do this and it makes I didn't know this was a tacked on ending or this was done and that makes sense that you've said that, because I'm like, why does that ending seem so bizarre? And it's because that makes sense. That makes complete sense.
That's why I went and looked, because I thought this isn't the original ending. This just doesn't feel right. But at the same time, it's what audiences want. They want that happy ending, no matter what. So anyway, what about you, Cade?
I'm going to give it a loaf of bread, some butter, peanuts, bacon, and grapes.
I'm so glad we spent 10 minutes talking about that.
That's certainly
that makes your rating so much more sense.
Yeah. So I'm glad. It's my first time I'm doing multiple emojis, and I gave it 5 different ones. That's really the most what I got out of this, and so was the Fool's Gold sandwich, because it made me it opened up my mind of just like I had so many questions and so many things, and it was definitely the thing that I even left the movie like having so many feelings about. I had so many deep feelings about this sandwich that I'm glad that I got to spend several minutes here talking about it with you guys.
I don't have any more to add to that.
I don't even know what to say to that, other than I love your emoji.
Great. Yeah. So we're gonna move on to our next movie. Our next movie is Free Fire, 2016. We'll go to our short little intermission, and then Andrew will come back with his description of the movie Free Fire. Great.
Okay. All right. I gotta calm down.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's intermission time. All these delicious treats are waiting for you at the refreshment stand. Delicious fresh popcorn, ice-cold cola, and candy you know and love. They're all ready for you now, so you won't have to miss any of the feature. Come and get them.
And now, on with the show.
There you go.
All right. So, Free Fire is about a couple of gangs doing a black market weapons trade in an abandoned warehouse in Boston in the late 70s, and everything just goes completely haywire, and bullets start flying everywhere.
It's a real deep movie.
I was moved beyond scope.
Yeah, I think that's
Did
pretty
you
much
notice who one of the executive producers was on this movie?
No, I did not. Who?
Martin Scorsese. It
Really?
really was.
Yeah, it's an East Coast 70s movie. Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense.
The guy who directed this, he's going to be directing The Meg 2. So, in case you wanted to know.
That's quite a
One of my
jump.
favorite movies. This will be a great sequel.
It's called The Meg 2 The Trench. So, guess they're going into the trench,
Not a
Mariana's
surprise.
Trench. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well,
Did you see the Meg?
I never saw The Meg, which I wanted to, but I just missed it completely. But it looked amazing.
I have a good friend who talked me into going to see the Meg right before I went on a cruise, an ocean cruise.
Uh-huh.
So needless to say, I spent the whole cruise just waiting For the Meg.
The Megalodon. It's your Megalodon. It's my Jason Statham impression.
That was a good one. He also, this guy who directed this also directed Rebecca.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Did you see that
for
movie?
Netflix?
I did not.
With
I
Armie Hammer?
did not. I did not.
I did write down. I have two notes I have three notes that are right at the very beginning of the movie. Very opening frame. I'm like, we're slowly moving our way through A24's film catalog. So
That is true. Like when I saw
Yeah.
when I saw the label A24, I got really excited and I was like, "Oh, hey!" Because anytime I see an A24 logo, I instantly like it. It goes up just a little bit.
Mhm.
So
And we've watched quite a few of them here on our podcast. Quite a few
I was gonna-
lesser
Yes, we
A24
have.
movies.
I was gonna say, like, I've seen more A24 movies from this podcast than I have anywhere else. So
It's good.
Yeah, they buy the cheap. I mean, they buy on the cheap. That's true.
And then
true.
I put, just from last week, it's another Jack Rayner movie. He was the brother in whatever we watched. What do we watch? Sing Street. He's the
King Street, yeah.
one of the guys in
He
this.
plays Harry.
Okay, yeah. I do not remember
Or
people's
Four
names.
Eyes.
Four Eyes.
Yeah.
And
They called him Four Eyes once in it.
And then 2 minutes into the movie, I'm like, boy, this is Accents, the movie.
Yeah.
And then it just gets even crazier from there. I was like, I wrote that way too soon, and it continued. It's everyone has a different accent. Everyone that's their character. What's your accent? Well, that's your character.
And some of their accents changed. The same person, but had multiple accents during the course of the movie.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. So overall, what did you? I guess we'll start with Andrew since he talked about it. What did you think about this movie?
So I thought this was a lot of shoot 'em up, and I thought it was.
It's not really an opinion, more is it than a fact.
It was okay. It was entertaining. It had I like the fact that it just took place in the same area, because I was just like, okay, where else is this going to go? And it wasn't predictable, but there were times when I was just like, oh man, spoiler alert, by the way. There were times when I was just like, how is this going to end? Like, what's going to happen? And there were times that genuinely shocked me. Like for starters, the dude getting run over by the van. That I remember my
toward
job
the end of the movie. Yeah.
towards the end of the movie.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And just how the gunfight just started and just kept going.
Well, so eventually, I mean, it starts out incredibly tense. This is going to go sideways at some point. Like, because you just know that's what this thing. So it's this gun trade that they're doing. It's Cillian Murphy. He works for the IRA, right? That's kind of pretty much said, right? And he's getting these guns from this group of people, and they're buying the guns. At first, it's not the guns that they wanted. They're like, no, we asked for the specific type, and they're like, no, this other type will work. How hard it is. So that sort of sets it off rocky for a bit. Well, and they're slowly introducing people. Like you get he arrives there, and like Brie Larson is the sort of go-between person between these groups, and so she's setting it up, and one person enters, and it's like, okay, you got this. Now we got to go over to the warehouse, and Armie Hammer shows up and takes them to there, and then like they get there in the thing, and more people show up with the actual guns, and then they make the deal with the money, but anyways, it slowly goes sideways when two of the lower henchmen had a previous fight the night before that then spills over into this whole thing that spurs this whole thing to go sideways. And
it just goes from there. It just kind of escalates. And at one point, everybody is down. Everybody is limping.
Yeah.
And-
Everyone gets shot in the leg. Everyone gets a non-lethal hit, and so they're all like, crawling around. Like, oh my god, why would you accept a role in this movie? Like, I wouldn't want to crawl around on dirty floors for
and there's
days.
There's so many like high like A-list people in this.
Yeah.
You know, like Brie Larson.
Brie Larson
Cillian
spends
Murphy.
most of the movie just like everyone else in the movie. It's not like everyone has to crawl around on dirty floors, a dirty warehouse floor full of rocks and rubble and wood shards and needles, as we see later. That was the one that I was like, oh, shoot at him. Don't step on a needle.
I'd rather you die from a bullet. But like, no, the thing is that like,
after everybody got shot, I mean, everybody gets shot once at least, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've had to put the movie on pause and go look at the description of this movie just because I was like, what on earth am I watching? And it is described as a black comedy. Once you knew that, then that kind of made it more, okay, then I get it now.
It was
because it is all it is guys crawling on through the dirt shooting each other.
There was no comedy to it.
There's comedy. There's some.
I didn't.
There's some. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a black comedy. It's more like a crime movie.
I would say it's got a wit, or it's got a it's not wit is the right way of saying it. It's got a tone to it that's flippant about the people involved. It's not like depicting it.
Captain Marvel sewed herself up in the middle of this movie. You know, bullets are flying and she's sewing herself up. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
That's some dark comedy there.
I think it's somewhat of a comedy in the sense that it's not like really treating this like, oh, this wound is horrible. Like it's treating it like it's there. These bullets are flying, and it's a comedy in that sense of like it's not like showing the real trauma of the situation. Right. It's meant to be sort of flippant and.
Now I will say there are things that are like kind of tongue in cheek. Like there was a scene like towards the end, like for example, towards the end, it's one of the things I can remember was when like Cillian Murphy's crawling away and it's the fire system has been set off and so it's just pouring water and he goes right up to a wall that just says, like it's an advertisement for umbrellas. And I'm like, oh, okay. That's very subtle, but I get it.
That was a setup. That was a payoff to later of like, what do they make here? It's like, well, something that people don't need anymore. And that's a long it used to be an umbrella factory, right? Is that the way I'm understanding that? Is that like this factory that it used to be in? And then so that's a punchline from all the way back in the previous part of the movie where they're like, what do they make here? It's just in a warehouse and so it was kind of a punchline. Is like, oh, it was an umbrella factory.
Oh, okay. Well,
and I love it when they answer the phone and the recording on the phone that you won a chance at ground beef.
Yeah.
Ground meat. The ground meat.
Congratulations.
That was good.
Yeah. That was the thing that was supposed to save them was whoever was calling or whatever. Because like you keep thinking. You're set up thinking that someone's got to be an informant because that's very off the very beginning, and that's in a lot of these movies. Someone's an informant, and like they asked Brie Larson early on, "Are you an FBI agent?" And like everyone's sort of pointing at it that does someone have a wire on it, and so you assume that that's the way that this is going to go south. But it kind of I think makes it funnier that like it's just these people's egos that kind of end up causing this to go south. Like no one, to my knowledge, no one's an informant, and that's never even really part of it.
Right.
Is that she and the black guy that got shot in the brain
he's still alive.
Set up both groups, right? They hired the snipers to come in.
Yes, they were gonna do a turn. They were gonna turn on them, or somehow,
yeah.
And
they were the ones that were gonna,
But no one was working for the feds or for the whatever,
No.
like which is what they sort of
No.
they were at first thinking that and you think that was somehow what was going to be the turn, and I kept waiting for that, or that was person who's on the phone, or that like that was going to be the thing, because like I thought that's your big third act is like it's I assumed that they were all going to get dwindled down to whoever your famous stars were, which that comes true, but then but. Then it was going to turn. Oh, the FBI comes in and raises, and then it's like even though that they're not on the same side anymore, they're against the agents or whatever. And so I assumed that was what your third act was going to be, but then that ends up not being the case.
So I will say that like towards the end, I was getting very heavy. Reservoir Dogs vibes.
I was going to guess, but I wasn't sure that you were going to say that, so I wasn't going to say it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
That's kind of because like, and it kind of escalated it towards it, especially even at the very end.
Yeah.
So
I must say, so my takeaway from the movie is, whenever I was watching it, I was on board for like easily the first half of the movie. I was like, okay. I really like this. I had heard, it's kind of gotten mixed reviews. Some people really liked it. Some people really hated it because it didn't have much of a plot. And it didn't really bother me that it didn't have much of a plot. It's an action movie, like it has just as much plot as some really, and it's really the style of, that you really liked. And I really like the style. Like I like this set in the 70s. I like that kind of lo-fi, I like that's in one room. I like you get these character actors in there and they do different things. Like it's just sort of fun. But then eventually you're like, I feel like the movie I wrote down, it wears out its welcome.
It does. And I don't know. I think it's like you're going through this, it's like you're going through this hyper tense thing. Mm-hmm. I don't know, this hyper tense feeling throughout the entire, it's only an hour and a half long. Mm-hmm. As much as it builds towards that, it's just like, all right, this needs to end now.
Yeah,
like
it's good.
About the hour mark, I was just like, like come on, speed it up. Something else needs to happen.
Yeah,
like,
it needed a different third act. Like it needed that was to me. I'll tell you, the midpoint was really good. So like before the first shot is even fired. Perfect. That's perfect. Nothing changes about the first act of the thing when it went to the inciting incident. That's all perfect and great. And then even from that first fight kind of drags on a bit, but it works because you're like, what's happening? I don't know what's happening. And I really liked the first lull where they're all like counting, like, who's alive? Are you still here? Oh, and they're all like, talking to each other once the big action scene after the snipers already came. They're all just like, it's a lull in the thing. And that happened. That's a big section of time is where they're kind of just counting who's there, and they're like strategizing, and they're like, what's our situation? Where's the money? Where's all the stuff? Like all these things. I love that. It's really from that point to the end that could have used some work.
Yeah. And I feel like at that point they're just like it was just dragging on. Mm-hmm. It was just dragging on, and it needed to wrap itself up.
And if you were going to eventually dispatch of all of these characters, spoiler alert, if eventually you're going to get rid of all of these characters, why wasn't it kind of sprinkled out a little bit more? Like that was sort of, it was like, it was all pushed to the very end or whatever. And it was like, and it should have been, people were picked off a little bit more in between it.
Right.
Or at least in that second half part where like post that conversation, people should have been started falling a little bit more, I felt like. But I don't know. Okay, Diane.
Didn't you think it was funny though that these guys got shot like 20 times before they started dying?
Yes.
I mean, literally.
Yeah. I mean,
now that brings.
I don't know how many times some of those guys got shot.
They all got shot in the same area, like in the shoulder or in the leg. Like nobody gets shot like 17 times in the stomach or something like that.
You're right. It's the legs. It's the arms. It's one of my favorite was the first shot with what's the guy's name? He said it all the time. Vern. He gets shot in the shoulder. He freaks out. And he's like, "There's barely a scrape. It's mostly your shoulder pad." was a really funny. Yeah. But his suit was so very important to him. Like, and so like I found that to be great.
But eventually he has the presence of mind when he's on fire to grab a fire extinguisher and use it on himself.
I just love that he ends
So
up
they-
sort of being done in by his suit, I guess, because the suit gets a little wet or
Yeah.
whatever, and so his suit's what ends
Yeah.
up being the thing that kind of makes him.
One thing about it, when they start taking people out, they do it in definitely I don't know, what's the right word? It just got bigger and bigger
Over the top,
until
yeah.
until the guy gets ran over by the van.
Yeah.
Which genuinely shocked me. Like that was like that was really the most shocking moment in the entire movie for me, was just
Yeah,
old boy just getting run over by the car, and at a very
Yeah.
slow pace. Like it
Yeah.
was just
Well, he
it was
couldn't
going
move.
to
Yeah, he couldn't
Yeah,
move because
like-
he was,
well, no,
And you
he
get
was
the
shot.
splat.
He was shot in the shoulder.
Yeah.
yeah.
One of
But
my
the guy that ran over him, he actually shot him in the butt first.
yeah. But one of my
But
favorite
just-
things was
Oh,
set
my.
up by Army Hammer with the fact that, because they all keep getting these flesh wounds or whatever, and he's like that will eventually they'll lose enough blood or whatever, and they're like, this is I don't know, I think I'm gonna die from this, and Army Hammer's like, you got an hour and a half. You're like,
Yeah.
what? You're like, you got an hour and a half. It's the golden hour and a half. It's a rule, which is one of the few times it kind of breaks the fourth wall a little bit. Is that that's a movie link, that's a movie runtime, and so that's sort of a funny joke of like that they're making
Yeah.
fun of there. Is that you can make it a movie or whatever. And so that
You did get hit in the artery, so you've got an hour and a half.
yeah. So I found that to be that's a funny little joke. So it like has a few of these sort of smart little things to it, and but it's few
Can I
and far
tell you
between.
my favorite part?
Yeah.
I didn't know who the guy was at the end that came in, but he drove in a 1966 metallic aqua Mustang. And the reason I know that is because I actually owned one.
Wow.
I even have a plaque on my wall that has the Mustang itself and the little emblem that has the Mustang with the red, white, and blue bars. And the plaque says, "This is all that's left."
That'll do.
Because I wrecked it. Yeah. It just has the emblems off the car. That's all that's left. But yeah, when he drove up in that, I thought, this is a good movie. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was did you like the whole 70s
Yeah.
setting in general? Diane?
I didn't even realize it was set in the 70s until that car pulled up and I went, oh, yeah.
You didn't think
And then I was like,
they were
oh, yeah,
dressed
the IRA,
pretty weird.
This was a big thing back then.
Yeah.
You know?
They were dressed
I mean,
incredibly
once
in their
they were
time.
covered in mud and dirt and all that stuff, it was like, yeah, whatever. I
Yeah.
did have to turn on the subtitles, though, because I couldn't understand them at all with the different accents.
Yeah.
You
I don't
know,
know
when
if
they were in
I've
the big-
become a worse listener but like all of our movies, I feel like I'm having to turn. Am I going insane? Like, I don't know if maybe I'm having some hearing things. I don't know. In real life, it's not a problem. But all of these movies we've watched, I've had to watch with subtitles, and I've never had to do that. I don't have to do that with normal TV and stuff, but I've had to. Like, I turned it on
Yeah.
for What If because I thought I was losing it with the mixing of the opening, and so I just turned it on, and I'm like, okay, I can understand it now. And then this one, it was just still on from that, and I'm like, okay, I guess I'm watching it this way because it certainly helps in different parts. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess we're
Yeah,
watching
I had
a lot
to
of
turn
things
it on
by
for
accident.
this one because I didn't have to for What If. And I listen to audiobooks all the time. It's not like I'm not a good listener. I am a good listener. But, oh my God. The accents were so bad.
Mm-hmm. And I must say, I know that I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the whole thing is with him. I know he's a cannibal or something, but but Army Hammer, I really want to be cannibal. I don't know.
He's not actually hasn't done it. He just keeps asking everybody if he can
Yeah,
have them for dinner.
exactly. And so I don't know if there's something else or whatever he's got canceled for or whatever. I don't know. I don't know anything about that, but I do know I really like him in movies. I really think he's an interesting, like, he's kind of a character actor in this, Pretty Face. He's really good, and I love him. Sorry to Bother You, I think is his best performance. And he's got this sort of, which knowing now about his personal life a little bit, it makes sense. He's got this kind of darkness, this kind of.
I am not. Huh.
What?
Let me refresh this then.
What?
Reload.
We can hear you even.
Oh.
Oh.
He left.
He said we're frozen to him.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Did you ever see The Man from U.N.C.L.E.?
Yes.
I thought he was great in that. I'm sorry. I like Armin.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't let him eat my toes, but I like him.
Can you hear us, Andrew?
I can hear everybody now. I don't know what happened. It just you all were just completely frozen. And
that's fine.
Y'all didn't come back.
You joined it at a good question that Diane proposed. Would you let Armie Hammer eat your toes?
Okay, if you had frostbite and they were going to have to amputate your toe anyway, would you let him have it as an appetizer?
If your toes got severed in a totally unrelated situation, okay, and it just happened and it was a horrible situation, and you lost your toes, and you have your toes in a bag. And Armie Hammer's like, can I have those? Can I have those toes? I want those toes. Would you give them to him? And he's going to eat them. He said it. He's like, I'm going to eat your toes.
Sure. If he wants the toes, just give him the toes. I mean, they're only toes, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't need them. Like, what do I use them?
They're not going. They said they couldn't reattach them, but they gave them, I guess, back to you in a bag, and you're like, they're your toes, and he wants them. You can't do anything with them.
Well, to be honest with you, I think I'd let him starve to death. But I mean, no offense towards Armie Ham. You know what? No. You know what? I don't care.
Okay.
Armie's
would you
never
feel
gonna,
differently if you knew that his dad was on the board for Oral Roberts University?
Oh. Did that change? I don't know if that changes anything.
Not really.
Does that change anything for you?
Not really.
His whole thing that's bizarre, and I how that all unraveled was all very interesting too. Where he was like, someone came forward and was like, he asked me if he wanted to eat me or whatever, and then they interviewed one of his model ex-girlfriends, and then she's like, oh yeah, he did say something about that, and it just became a pattern of things that people sort of came forward and was like, yeah, Arby said he wanted to barbecue me and eat me.
That is something I just don't get. And I would never have expected it.
It makes sense. It makes sense for him. He has this sort of weird little darkness about him that he's not acting upon it, so I guess it's okay. But it makes sense. He seems like a kind of little weirdo, but he's good at his art. I think he's actually really.
Well, it's kind of to be expected. I mean, his family comes from Russian communist and American oil tycoons. Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, he came out of the womb with it.
And he's that attractive, so normalcy's not going to work for him, right? So he's going to have to do something ridiculous. Never. So and he's from that wealth and everything. So he's going to have to, I guess, cannibalism, I guess. I mean, that's his thing.
I mean, okay. If cannibalism's your thing, you know what? Cannibalism's your thing. I mean, who's going to argue with cannibalism? Oh, wait a minute.
No, I mean, he's not, I guess, acting upon it. It's this weird, I think, role-playing thing that he's into, is saying he's going to eat people.
And the fact that like multiple people have come forward and said, "Oh yeah, he's actually like he really likes the taste of human blood." I don't know what it is, but
Well, evidently it's
yeah. Go ahead.
evidently it's handed down generation to generation in the Hammer family.
Oh, is that what you think? Was that your theory?
oh, cannibalism. Yeah.
Well, a dark past or
Yeah.
dark desires. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. I find him to be interesting. And I think like if you ever see Sorry to Bother You, I think that's probably close to what he's like, and even in person. Like I think, but he's an actor. Have you guys ever seen Sorry to Bother You?
No, and I want to.
Oh, you should.
I know it's on.
I don't
I know it's
think
on Netflix.
It's again, to ruin my list of my top movies from the 2010s. It's number 2 or number 1. My top 2 are Sicario and Sorry to Bother You. Those are the 2 best movies of the 2010s. And oh god, it's amazing. It's an amazing movie, and he's amazing in it. He's the villain of the story, and
He's the villain in Rebecca too.
Oh yeah. He's perfect. He's perfect as that, because he comes off like he's this he plays that role, which makes sense from his like family lineage of like this. He's this wealthy guy who like tries to be cool or whatever, but he has this dark secret, and it just makes sense, and he plays it perfectly. In a lot of respects, he would have he's very similar to that the Connor character in Ribbon. That was sort of, I think, in a lot of respects, that type of person that was supposedly skewering. And I think that I don't know. I get that. That is a person. He is.
Now is
a type.
That is a movie I have seen. Is Ribbon.
yeah, you've seen Ribbon.
Very, very, very interesting.
Yes, I have too.
Yeah. Okay. Good. I'll make references you guys
you've
understand.
had one of those movies where I like the original ending best.
Oh yeah. It's I don't know. People have different opinions on it. People about the ending of that, but yeah. I really liked the character of Tim in Ribbon. He's a guy who he worked for Fillmore Industries, and he got fired. Yeah. That was a really good role.
No, I think he was I think he was the most interesting character in the entire movie.
Oh,
You know
The
what?
most relatable.
I can't agree with you guys more.
well, I wouldn't go as far as that, but
I just
but he was really great. Great.
I can't go that way.
I'm sorry, we have fell off
Sorry
the
to bother
wagon.
you. I have to watch that. I don't think I've seen it.
Let's talk about.
Free Fire.
I don't blame Jennifer Lopez for not wanting to do a movie with him after it came out that he was a cannibal wannabe.
Yeah, it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard, right? It'd be hard to like. That's going to be all the questions. That's going to be all the stuff. I mean, yeah, it's difficult.
It's gonna follow him pretty much for the rest of his life. Like, it's just like, I mean, given how recent it is, it's like, when Will Smith slapped Chris Rock, that's gonna be the front page of every single question that he's ever gonna be asked.
Yeah, he can't do a press junket, right? He can't, because like that's gonna be it. And he never really, to my knowledge, responded, did he? To my knowledge, he never. I don't remember him ever like giving. Oh, he did. Okay.
He gave an apology. Like, he gave an apology about a week later, but he never he's never officially addressed it.
Who are you talking about?
And
talking about
Will Smith.
Oh, I'm talking about Armie Hammer with the cannibalism.
But no, the story's the same. I don't think he's ever really responded to it. I think I think he had like a representative say like, "Oh yeah, these allegations are false."
Mm-hmm.
But no, he's not actually like come out and said, "No, I never said any of that stuff." So he's not really.
Why wouldn't you just admit it? Like unless he was like legitimately a cannibal, like, and he actually did cannibalistic things, and he went around and ate people, like, and then like this is like hitting way too close to home because he can't admit that he has this cannibal fetish or whatever if he actually does eat people, because then it's like a domino effect. But if he just like said to people, "I want to eat you," and every person's like, "No," and he's like, "Oh well."
Just please just have a bite. Like, just give me one of your pinkies. I know you don't need it.
Because it seems like he dropped it every time someone was like, "Stop." He seemed to have dropped it every time because, like, it is so from the public ones that I know about, and so and if that's the case, just admit it. He's like, "Yeah, I tried on a few different occasions, and they all failed, and yeah, sorry,
Sorry, I tried to bite you. It's
yeah.
and it's just in my blood."
No, I don't think he's ever admitted to anything. I think at least from what I can tell, just looking real quickly, is that most of what's been reported are messages that he had allegedly sent to certain women.
Yes.
That said, that I have cut the heart out of a living animal and eaten it. That kind of stuff.
Oh, so he admitted to eating animal flesh, like.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Well, he says it.
Makes sense.
I've cut the heart out of a living animal before and eaten it while still warm.
Oh,
I
that's
think there are probably
shocking.
people in Oklahoma that have done that, right? And we have a lot of deer hunters and turkey hunters.
I kind of want to retract my pro Army Hammer things now.
Oh, it gets even better. Here's what it
new
says.
lines.
I want to see your brain, your blood, your organs, every part of you. I would definitely bite it 100%. And the rest I'm not going to say because it's really gross. Anyway, so yeah.
Okay.
He probably should not have documented his
it. Yes, I agree. I think
for
that the
people to share.
The problem is sending that, is putting that out in text, because it's that I don't know if it's said and it's like he said it at one point and everything, but the fact that it was these text messages where it's like it has to be thought out and like okay, and that I think that represents my feelings, and send is a problem. Yeah,
why? Oh my God! like. Oh God, that's terrible.
I think what's interesting.
This is why I think this is why his agent dropped him and everything else, because the messages are pretty explicit on what he wants to do.
Yeah, but once again, he's never. Yeah, he didn't do it. He just sort of said he would. Yeah, that's where kind of the gray line is. Yeah. But it's like, that shouldn't be.
No, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hammer. But anyway, back to the movie. I liked his character in this movie, though.
What are you going to give this?
He's the one who stays calm the entire time.
Yes. What are you going to give this movie, Diane?
Oh, golly. 2 shots of tequila.
Okay.
If you had 2 shots of tequila, I would do that.
I don't think I might not have that.
That's okay. 2 shots of bourbon then. It's
okay, we'll just do bourbon.
I don't know. I would not recommend it unless you're a big like Quentin Tarantino fan. It's kind of got that vibe, but with no soul or heart.
Yeah.
I read that in a review. I thought that's true. That is true. I agree with that.
Yeah, no, yeah. Okay. Andrew, what are you going to give this?
I would give this 2.5 stars.
Same that you gave the last one.
Yeah.
I like the other movie better.
You like the other movie better? Yeah. If I had to say which ones, I think they both have a common thing that they both were interesting, had interesting premises and in interesting ways that they went about it, but they kind of whiff it at the very end. both of them just kind of fall apart in the very last, and I think like, what if it's way much later? Like it actually seems to be like a common thing, and then like the very very ending is kind of the stuff that messes it. And then this one, it's not like. It didn't. This one seemed to run out of gas. Like it's like it didn't know what it was going to do, and it's like you didn't set up enough up front to have interesting themes on the back end. You couldn't make it a theme movie. It's an action movie. So you got to get in and you got to get out, and you got to make it, or you got to come up like I talk about Atomic Blonde. I love Atomic Blonde in the sense of like it's a style action movie. It's definitely the style that I like. The story makes no sense. It's incomprehensible, and it has so many plot holes. It's unreal. But I love the movie because of it, of the style. It makes it 100%, and the action and the direction is amazing. And it's like you have to have
best stairway fight scene ever.
And that's what I was about to bring up. Is like you have to have these sort of, you have to pace yourselves, and like the stairway action scene is a great bit to have near your end of your second act, or in the middle of your second act, the second half of your second act, to sort of reinvigorate the story. It's like you got to have these things that sort of like push it forward a little bit, and it's like, and it didn't have that in its second half, and it needed something like that. There was. To give it a lot of credit, I mean, it had to be a nightmare to film. This had to be a literal nightmare to film for everyone involved, of like just keeping track of the bullet holes, the shots, and like someone has to, I mean, how many shots are fired in this movie? It's got to be near the top of any movie ever, because of just how much it just goes, and you have a shot of them shooting and where it hits it and where it's like, and then by the end of the movie, I was counting it. These shots were only like the film shots were only for 5 seconds. There was a points where it was just like cut. It's like cut a thing that lasts for 5, and there could be like dialogue going on, but it wasn't like manic. It wasn't like even though it was kind of kind of handheld. It was probably monopod or something, but it wasn't shaky like that. But it was real quick cuts, and it's like cutting between different conversations and different settings. Like it's cutting, here's these people for a bit, and it's cutting around showing you. And it does a really, really good job of, where everybody's at in the situation. Like, and that's something that could have been lost in a different filmmaker and a different thing. It's like, exactly where people are at in this warehouse, where the car is, where the suitcase is, where the people are shooting at the other person, and they're moving all over, and it's using it in a sense of like, I don't remember very much wide shots, like establishing of where this warehouse is, but I still 100% understood where everybody was at in the situation at all times.
Right.
It helped that they were dressed, that they had unique clothing style, each one of them.
And I knew who the people were, and who their things were, and I knew which
side they were on.
Which side they were on, and like even like ones with like Brie Larson, who's kind of in between both things. Like, you understood the character. I didn't know exactly what maybe their names were, but in the moment I knew who they were talking about and everything. It was very clear, and that was not easy, and it certainly wasn't easy for the actors to be wallowing around in the dirt for an hour and a half.
No.
My goodness.
What kind of rating are you going to give it, Cade?
I'm going to give it I had to give it the gun and the bang emoji.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, it's,
that's perfect.
it's not much of thought put into it, but it's pretty much what the whole movie is. Bang.
It really is. It's John Wick-like in the number of gunshots there are.
Mm-hmm.
I looked up, sorry to bother you. I have seen that, and I agree with you. Armie Hammer played himself in that movie. He did.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's great. I love that movie so much.
Okay.
But yeah, so I had to give it that, because there's really nothing else in the movie except for guns going off. What the tagline on one of the what posters I saw was it all guns, no control? Was the
But
tagline.
for that many people that had guns on them to use, they were all pretty bad shots. weren't they?
Yes. They were worse than stormtroopers.
Yeah. Okay.
They were.
Yeah. And so they set up quite heavily that the ammo was in the truck, right? And that never paid off, right? There was no payoff to the fact
I kept waiting for somebody to blow up the truck.
Yeah, that
Didn't you?
That there's going to blow up
Ammo,
the truck, or that
gasoline.
or that they were going to. I kept thinking the third act's the FBI raiding. I just had that in my mind. The third act is the FBI raiding the place, and that someone's a turn or something or whatever, and it's just them against them. And then they're like, and then they have the conversation that they're going to load these rifles, and they're going to use that against the people, or that they were somehow going. And then there was going to be a bit of like, wait, you didn't sell the ammo with it, and and like because like that had been set up quite a bit. That they had to lock the car and they had to get in there and they locked it and someone had the keys, and that the ammo was for these guns that they had that they were selling was in the truck or was in the van, and it never ever paid off, and that was the weirdest thing to me.
Ever.
Huh.
Yeah, but I was pretty disappointed it didn't get blown up.
Yeah, the other option was that it was going to get blown up and it was going to be a huge explosion. And then, like, I assumed that the fire was going to be a bigger thing because they kept looking at the fire. I mean, the fire causes the sprinklers to go off, but that ends up not being important at all, right?
It's pretty amazing when you think about it. This is an abandoned warehouse. Why is that sprinkler system still working?
Yeah, that's true.
It has no lights. I mean, it doesn't have anything else, but it has a sprinkler system and a phone.
A working phone. Yeah. But the fire did not end up being paid off at all, except for the sprinklers. And the reason the sprinklers went off is for what? There was no reason for the sprinklers to go off, like story wise, right?
The fire.
Yeah, but like why? Why have the sprinklers go off story wise?
Oh, I don't remember. There was oh God, why did they
to show that it was an umbrella factory? Yeah,
was it just to show that it was an umbrella factory, just for a punchline to work? That's the only. It was that, and then guess, like him smoking, that it made that go off, and he's like he couldn't even have that. Like that was a bit. There was two little bits with it, but it didn't really seem to serve any story purpose. It might have been something else that a third act was planned or something. I don't know. You go into that. I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay.
So, I hate to move us along.
We're going to move it on. We've reached our end.
We need to know what we're going to be watching next week.
We do. Exactly. So we're going to be heading into preview time, where we select next week's movies. Next week's movies. That's the word.
And now, preview time. When it comes to entertainment, you can't beat a good film. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.
Oh, when it comes to entertainment, you just can't beat a good film, can you, Andrew?
No, you cannot, Cade. No, you cannot. Can you, Diane? God, I love that voice so much.
Yeah.
You certainly cannot.
Okay. So we're gonna pick our films next week. Like how we always do it. We get each person to I need to put Diane's name up. We get everyone to say what number out of 20 they want. Okay, Diane, what number?
9.
9.
9.
Okay. 9 is Ben is back. Ben is back.
Ben is back? Not the rat.
No, not the rat. It's a sequel to the rat movie. He's back.
Get it, Andrew?
I am going to go.
Before you do that, I'm going to tell you what Ben is Back is.
Okay.
Ben is Back is it's 2018. Looks like it's on Hulu. Okay. It's got Julia Roberts, Lucas Hedges, which we love Lucas Hedges.
We do.
And Courtney B. Vance,
Right.
otherwise known as he's Mr. Angela Bassett. So I always look at Courtney B. Vance.
I never thought of him that way.
Well, Angela Bassett's, one and only. The plot follows a mother who tries to help her addict son after he returns home from rehab. So real drama. It's a drama movie. Real good one. You always want to start off with the deep drama. Okay, next one, Andrew. At 1 out of 20. 1 out of 20.
I'm going to go.
Has Lucas Hedges in it?
Yes. So say Lucas Hedges. Yep.
What am I going to go with? I'm going to go with the number 7.
7. Okay. It is The Blackcoat's Daughter, which I think is horror. I think we finally hit horror again.
Y'all have fun with that one.
And I believe that I saw that on
What's the name of it again?
The Blackcoat's Daughter, which is an A24 movie. Again. A24. Oh, we got a whole Emma. We have a whole Roberts family going on because it stars Emma Roberts. We've got a Julie Roberts movie and an Emma Roberts movie. We planned that on purpose. It's a supernatural psychological horror movie.
Hey, there you go.
By A24.
Okay. I remember when Ben is Back came out because Lucas the Hedges is in it.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time this came out, within just a couple of months, he was in another movie called Boy Erased with Nicole Kidman. And did you see it?
No.
Because they were almost the same thing, trying to save their son. Yeah. Anyway.
I really like Lucas Hedges and everything he does.
Yeah.
He was in that Kill the Messenger with Jeremy Renner.
He was in Manchester by the Sea. Was I think my favorite thing that I really liked with him in it.
And Lady Bird.
So Blackcoat's Daughter's on Showtime and Ben is Back is on Hulu. If you guys want to see that. Definitely, yeah. So next week, don't know exactly who's all going to be on this. We will figure that out. Most likely it'll be at least Diane and I on it next week. So that should be fun. Hope you had a fun time. Did you have a fun time, Andrew?
I had a fantastic time.
Did you have a hoot and a half?
I had a hoot and a holler.
Yeah. How many hoots did you think you had?
Oh, at least 2.
Okay, so you got 2 hoots. Okay, good.
I think we're seeing a little bit of a trend here. This Lucy Boynton is also in this Blackcoat's Daughter.
Okay.
She was in Sing Street.
Oh. Yeah. It's good. It's good seeing all these people that we know and love.
Yeah.
And it does seem like I mean, a lot of these A24 people end up coming back to A24 movies, like that Jack Rayner and just a lot of them they end up like repeating. And I don't know if they have some sort of relationship with the studio or if it's just like it's.
Yeah, I think A24 is big on going into the festival circuits and buying up movies to distribute.
Yes.
And a lot of these movies are in the festival.
Yes, they're that sort of level, so it makes sense that like they sort of use these actors that are on that sort of festival level. I mean, yeah, that makes sense.
If Ribbon had made it to like TIFF or Sundance, I'm pretty sure A24 would have picked it up.
Yeah, I don't know if it was quality to have made it into that sort of thing. Just
No, it was quality.
It was.
Probably.
It's been in other festivals. You never know.
I mean, technically speaking, as far as like the
technical.
Yeah, it was a little rough, but hopefully, maybe next time we can get something in there into TIFF. Yeah.
Into TIFF.
Hopefully.
Yeah. That's what A24 picks up a lot of movies from. Sundance and TIFF and the one in Austin.
Yeah, South by Southwest. South by Southwest. And then a lot of people Telluride is very popular.
A24 buys a lot of the distribution right out of those festivals.
Very true. And that's kind of why we, we're picking a little bit more indie things for our stuff. Like that's what I like sort of doing that. I overall we didn't love these two movies. I don't think we sort of said that when we loved them, but I certainly like them more than a lot of things, and I would a lot rather watch these movies than some other things that are.
They were both better than the Meg.
See, there you go. And and
Yeah.
they make choices, and I'm always interested. Like I really enjoy this podcast, being able to go in and see these movies that I hadn't seen before, and they all have some sort of artistry behind them, even if I don't end up liking the end result all that much. There's still a lot there that I really really enjoy, and there's really cool inklings of things. And I would a lot rather see a movie that has interesting things in it, and kind of these rough edges that are really cool and to watch and everything that but ultimately doesn't hit the mark, than these big movies that have been sanded down and polished and put out, and they have no interesting qualities to them, but they're more pleasant, I guess. At the end of the day, they don't have anything that sticks out and is all that interesting about them. And that's a lot of.
I really enjoyed Adam Driver's character and his portrayal of his character in this movie more than I did that little part that he has in Star Wars.
Oh, you don't like?
Yeah.
No, I think Kylo Ren's probably one of the more interesting parts of the new Star Wars movies. But yeah.
All right.
Well, I agree with you there, but I loved his character in this movie. I thought that you'll never get to see Adam Driver do this character again. Now that he is.
Yes. Yeah, you're right. It's a small character. Okay. We will wrap up our things here. Andrew, got anything? Go ahead.
I just want to say one thing real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Adam Driver is amazing as Kylo Ren.
Okay.
He is. Just say it.
He was going to start.
But he wouldn't be if he had not played this role back in 2013.
That's true. That's true.
This was
what
was
and
fundamental.
You'll never get to see him play that role again.
Yes. Anyone have anything that they wanna plug here before we get out?
Watch So Many Sequels. We release a new episode every Monday or Tuesday.
What can people follow you on for? I mean, because you do a lot of photography. I think that's cool stuff people can follow.
Yeah,
you.
I have my own Facebook site called candrenicholsphotos.com, and please sign up.
C is in the letter.
Yeah, C is in the letter. And if you want to, please follow it and just take a look at my photography. I'm also on Instagram. And if you need to have portraits done, family shoot, headshots, whatever, I am your man. So please just send me a message. Just slip me a message in that DM box. Okay?
You need to take some professional photos of Diane. Diane, you want some professional photos?
I do. Why haven't I done that?
Are we doing professional photos again? Just one moment.
Oh, you didn't see this. You didn't see this. So last week she showed us a photo that she had from the 80s. I don't know if it's the same one that she's going to be.
Wait,
back from the 80s. I have more, but I'm not showing those. Let's see. What do we have here? Oh, you'll like this one.
Here we go. There we go.
Is it showing? Am I frozen? There we go.
Well, daggum.
High school. High school. Yep. High school picture. There you go.
I think Diane needs to recreate all of these photos. Andrew, can you recreate all these photos with her?
I can recreate those photos to a T.
Oh,
this is from last.
Yes.
Yeah, we definitely. Wow.
It's the opposite. Right, yeah.
I know. There we go. There she is.
There you go.
Hey,
1980.
I like it.
1980.
Great.
I have some other ones that are more 1980-ish, but Andrew, I cannot show them on this.
No.
They will have to be in person.
Okay.
Next game night.
Now, I did want.
Do,
that's good. Yeah.
Fool's gold.
Full skull. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think that I'm going to participate in that, but you can make it for everybody else.
I don't fry bacon. Sorry.
Yeah.
Too smell.
Yeah, I hope you enjoyed our Fool's Gold and Army Hammer conversation. That was more important than whatever movies we talked about.
I sure did.
Great. I wanted to plug, my other, the other podcast we do. It's bi-weekly. We did one last week with Hannah called Cade and Friends. I think that episode was titled Hannah Drinks the Beans. So I always like titling it something interesting. Can't wait to see what it is for future things. It's bits that are in the thing, but yeah, those are fun. And also if bonus content available for each time those release on my Patreon page, patreon.com/KThomas. There's mic checks, fun little bits that are only available there. Also on our Patreon, my Patreon page is the our what's it called? The unaired pilot version of this very podcast is available to watch on there if you want to, which is with the three of us, where we talked Spider-Man No Way Home and Matrix Resurrections.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was when we just were testing this. We were testing. We don't typically do blockbuster movies, but we had all seen those movies, so we talked about those for us on our unaired pilot version of this show. So if you want to hear us talk about blockbuster movies, then you can support the page on there. That's the way to. Yeah, that's fun and should be fun. But we'll see you next week. Right here, we have the movies.
I have something to plug.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Yes, tell us.
Yes, it's NEO in Miami, Oklahoma, is doing the musical version of Gilligan's Island, May 5th through 8th. Go and see my niece play Mary Ann.
I want to go see
she's
it.
Very
5th through 8th. You can join us on our trip.
We could carpool.
Yeah.
We're gonna go see it together. We got a carpool going. There will be a visit to a truck stop for pancakes afterwards.
So free your whole night because it goes pretty late.
Oh,
that's how we hang. We go way out of
That's
town.
how we roll.
That's how we roll. Go way out of town to watch a regional.
Big Cabin.
Yeah.
You go ham.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Go and see that and everything, and all of our other stuff and everything. Okay, great. Next week we have, what were the movies? We have Ben is Back as our first feature, which Diane will do, and then the second feature will be The Blackcoat's Daughter. So real fun movies, real serious movies. Next week here on Double Feature Movie Club. Everyone say bye. Bye. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye.